Hey, and welcome to Lemon Drops, brought to you by the Smoky Lemon crew. Well, we're talking branding, marketing, and everything in between. So grab a coffee, sit back, and let's drop in. Welcome along to our next episode of Lemon Drops, and with me in our Lemon Drops podcast room this morning, we have got Paul Rangiwahia, local artist, and also Richard Anderson, who is the CEO of Age Concern. Morena.
Kia
So the reason we're here is because there's a very exciting collaboration that's happened. And so let's start off by just briefly saying that Paul has created an amazing piece of artwork for Age Concern Taranaki. So this is why we're talking today. But to give you some background, first of all, Richard, could you tell us a little bit about Age Concern and what it does and what it stands for?
So the short version is Age Concern is an charitable organisation that tries to promote connection with people as they age. So anything to do with connection, health promotion, we've got a visiting service. We also have the elder abuse contract, sadly, but that's another story. But connection is our key driver because loneliness as we age is an epidemic. And so that's our job. We have lots of programs, from aqua jogging to steady as you go fitness to coffee mornings to men's groups, etc., etc.
So it's all about living well.
Yes, it is.
And so the collaboration came about between the two of you. You wanted some artwork talking about how age is just a number.
Well, actually, I've got to butt in.
Please.
Yeah, I've been thinking about artwork for that age group, older people. And I've been thinking about it for a number of years, but the time wasn't right. And I love the way how the universe just brings things together. So yeah, Richard and I came together, and it was a suggestion around creating the artwork that started it.
Because Paul's also created the Mental Health for Honour Fitness and lots of different types of artwork around town. So it's on the same, similar ilk. In fact, I'm not sure how well this will focus, and we'll give you a proper shot of it, but this is it.
Yeah, and so it's a good formula that I've discovered, and it just it really connects.
Because we knew Paul's art, obviously, because he's well known here, and I worked with him before, there's a synergy between his words and how we live. Mm-hmm. And the art is the product, but the words are how we should live and age well. And that's really exciting because the words came from our people for our people.
So celebrate small wins. Each day holds a triumph. Resilience is remembering your strength. Exercise and stretch daily. I mean, some of them are basic things too, right? Yeah.
But it's, when I do those works, it's not about trying to answer everything. It's about creating an opening. So I love about the artworks is it's a great reference point. You can just keep taking from it, creating from that there. And the awesome thing is that there's heaps of good ideas to create other ideas and other discussions. Yes. That's the key, is to keep it alive and go wherever it wants to.
Absolutely.
It needs to.
Yeah.
And there's one in there that says, dance like no one's watching. The conversation around that leads to music. And music is universal in how we love singing, and that's a community event. And so I think it's the conversations that it creates.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
How did you come up with the 46 different sayings?
Well, it was important that I went and connected with the local offices of Age Concern, so that was the first thing we wanted to do. So we got in a few of Richard's cronies, the sort of little mafia. We got them in.
His gang.
Yeah, his gang. Yeah, the gang came in, and it was good, and just talking about it and around, the vision for it. So that was great, because I think, when you get that buy-in, that's a big start. So yeah, cool, like the idea. And then it was just talking around, what do you think would work well on the artwork? So started to get those ideas. And then we visited some offices, and it was just, it's a process of gathering lots of different things. Often you have double ups and things that mean the same, sound the same. And so it's just distilling down until you get to a point where it's like, hey, that's kind of a nice mix. And I reckon that's
I think it was great too, Paul, that because we went to our people, there was a certain amount of valuing our people's voice.
Totally.
Because they've got the lived experience, all due respect to us, we could do that art. But when we're using their words and expanding on, they felt valued, and they can see their words in this art, which means they're more likely to live them. Like there was in Rangiwahia, Paul was interviewing, I think it might have been our men's group, and we talked about age is just a number, and one of the gentlemen said, and let's add to it. It just came out of the blue. So those sort of inspirational words, it's important that it came from our people.
So it's learned advice for us younger generations, right?
Yeah, and that's the other thing is my artwork. I always try to focus on, could a 12-year-old understand it, and could a 90-year-old understand it? And if I get that magic of those two, then I know I'm on to a winner. Because that's what you want, is you want those conversations not just to be isolated to one group.
Yes.
You want it to be whoever's connecting with the art, or that person, so it's a great way to invoke that conversation.
Very cool. Now, the goal is, obviously just about getting the word out about living well. And you feel, Richard, if you can get that message across, you've done the job. But it does have a little bit of an extra goal, doesn't it?
Well, I guess the goal is to raise some money so we can... Age Concern Taranaki wants to be self-fulfilling. So our board are excellent, and they want to stop asking groups for money because we're a charity. And if we can be self-fulfilling and have our own financial success, then we don't have to ask for money. The other charities can go and ask for money, and we can just do all our great programs. I guess for us, it's the money will help us. The main goal is living well.
Yes.
So if we made no money and everyone lived like that, we would be over the moon.
Yeah.
If we can make some money so we can take this further across the country, that would be superb.
And I think, like you mentioned before, Paul, your artwork's spanning all different age groups. There's no specific market for this. It could go on anyone's wall.
Yeah, that's right. And I really like the thinking about being self-funding as an organisation, because I think that just gives you that surety of future.
Yes.
Because it's when you're begging all the time. It's
a hustle.
It's a hustle, and it's a high anxiety position to be in. I think when you're free of that anxiety, your thoughts. That's when is the most valuable, isn't it? When you've got that space to think about. Okay, how can we impact more people? And what I love about the artist is when I create the art, it's like I don't want it to be stuck here in New Zealand. If it works well here, part of the financial success is taking it to Australia and saying, hey, here's the model. This is what we did, and you have it. You license that from us, so that income then comes back into. And so then you think, okay, well, if Australia works well, so does the UK and the American markets, or whatever you choose to use it in. But we have the ability to shape it here and be quite aspirational. So I think the modelling, to me, in my opinion, with the modelling, the funding model is really trying just to change that up and make it, the style that we're doing it.
I think if we use any of those words, I look at number 18, which I love, which is collect connections, not possessions.
Focus on connections, not possessions.
Yep. And so we do that in France or Germany or USA or Vietnam. It works for the big community of the world. There is another key point here, and if you don't mind, is that there's two sides to this, is that as an older generation, we need to wake up and look in the mirror and say, what can we do for ourselves? And this helps drive that, because it's important. We could sit and moan about the health system or celebrate how cool nurses are. But I think
they are.
They are. And the other challenge is for society and how they look at us. And so I biking yesterday along the walkway, and two 80-year-old husband and wife, obviously, biking along the walkway on electric bikes. How does society perceive them? We perceive them as, that could be grandma, go for gold, isn't this cool? They woke up, they're energetic, they're fit, or society could go, get out of my way. And this is what we have to change. We have to change the culture of how we view our older population, because our older population are cool. Yeah. They're vibrant. Yeah. They're largely still working. They're fit. They're living longer, and they've got lots to give back. So that intergenerational connection is crucial. About perception is reality. How do we perceive our older people? And if we can get that right, what a wonderful society we'd have.
And I think driving the whole, change of thinking around the health system is that be proactive and not reactive. We're a reactive, country. If you get sick or you're not feeling well, you'll get serviced, but it's harder and harder to get serviced. So, by being proactive and having a mindset of of that infinite vision, okay, what do we look right? Tall, I can't look any further, but I'm going to make a massive difference in this time here. I'm going to use my skill set, my energy, and I'm really going to make my community hum.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can learn a lot from our older generation. Shouldn't it be inspiring seeing a couple of 80-year-olds riding their bikes on the foreshore?
That's right.
Do that. Yeah.
There was that program recently, Do You Want to Live Forever? And, they showed in Japan, it was over 80 soccer, and the lads had rolled up and they play football at 80, and there's a couple of 100-year-old guys playing tennis, and it's like, hey, that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. I feel like the older generation are even cooler these days. Do you think?
Well, you have to say that when we're heading that way. So it's a natural. Yeah. 20 or 30 years ago, you would have said that.
Yeah, maybe.
And if you think of the 65-year-old retiring today, or not retiring today, because that's the thing, going longer, it was cool music. It was Janis Joplin, AC/DC, Rolling Stones, Vietnam War protested. We lived, and that generation lived cool lives without being visible.
Yes,
visible.
Yeah.
And so it was community dances. That's how you met people. Yes. You met people.
Talc on the floor.
Yeah, at events, and that's because it was exciting then. Those people are still exciting today.
Yes.
Society changes and we love young people. We absolutely love you. We think they're going to solve a whole lot of issues in the world. Highly intelligent, highly knowledgeable, but we need to value them and value us.
Yes.
Yeah. Just while I was thinking, talcum powder is like the Velcro of powder, isn't it? Hey, it was very universal back in the day, like something like soap. Yeah, I don't need much, just soap. Use the longer. Yeah,
that's right. And Savlon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's funny, eh? But the flip side, Richard, the other sad side is there is some 80-year-olds not out and about. They are isolated at home without their heaters on because they can't afford their power bill.
Absolutely. And, how do you solve it? We say at Age Concern, how do people feel when they come to us? What do they say when they leave? Which is great because we can do a lot around that space, but it's the people we don't get in the door. And sadly, we like to talk about elder abuse because
it's a thing.
One of the goals of this is elder abuse is just a bit of an epidemic, and as we age, and so we have the contract for elder abuse, which is financial, physical, psychological, neglect. There's a whole lot of aspects around it, and I won't go into it too deeply. What I will go into is the statistic.
Sure.
5 years ago, we're contracted for 86 cases of elder abuse. It went to 126 the next year, 176 the following year, 256 the following year. Last year it was 308. This year it's 325 cases of elder abuse, and we think that about 1 in 10 are reported.
Wow. Okay.
And so this art will help us generate more FTEs for getting more social workers to get out there. However, the flip side is if we can get people connected and out and about, there's less likely to be elder abuse. So let's be proactive.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you nibble away at the edges, and they reduce. Then you can, as your asset grows and you're able to fund more, you can get right into the core and shrink that.
That's so true.
And that's the philosophy with the artwork, and this is why we think very similar is that. If we can create this in our region, we're going to go and help and find a solution for the 80-year-old who can't turn a heater on. We're going to actually solve that.
And if
because we're going to create that mindset with our young people, our older people, and everyone in between.
If they can see this art and then start living it, we're going to achieve our goal. Because if this was in every doctor's surgery, every physio,
Rest homes.
Yes, absolutely. But every living room, Paul's first Warren of Fitness art is in my mum's retirement village on her wall, and the last one I believe says, you're never too old to set goals. And isn't that cool? When I talk to Mum, how's your day? Oh, I think you're never too old to set goals.
It's actually second to last.
Sorry.
Last is try just one more time.
Nice.
Yeah. I think it's also, Anna and Paul, the vibrancy of older people. If we look at, take politics out of it, but, you've got Donald Trump, who is an 80-year-old man leading the free world. Now, we're not talking about how he does it. That's irrelevant to us. However, then you've got people like Sir Michael Hill, jeweller.
R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. And he was still giving back to society, and he was still vibrant, he was dressing nicely, he was a business person. And he was self-made.
Yeah. 86 years old.
Yeah. And so we aspire to be that. You don't turn 65 and become invisible.
No.
You start again.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think, on that, that's a sort of elite level. And then I think just as a regular person, what I really love is that, I call it the guru next door, is that, in our elderly, and there's that wisdom, next door is so much knowledge. And,
absolutely.
Sometimes we think, I'll never be Michael Jordan. Yes, that may be the case. Doesn't mean you haven't got value to add,
You've had a great neighbour.
Yeah, I've had many a great neighbour, over time, it's really important to.
Very much into, it does start in our own neighbourhood as well, doesn't it? If you have an older person living on their own, what's the harm in a knock on the door and a cup of tea once a week, or, just connecting.
Just little things add up to a lot of big things, but there's that sense of duty of care and service to others. I think when we're in that space, it's better for us and better for a collective.
And just on the elder abuse, just to touch on that again, you mentioned some different types of it before, but one thing that people don't actually realise is the not turning the heater on, those sorts of things, that's elder abuse, isn't it?
Yeah, self-neglect is a bit, it's a bit controversial about whether it's abuse or not, but the result is, because, and it came really post-COVID as well, where we told our older population, stay at home, be safe, don't go out, and then they kept doing that, and so it's the hoarding and squalor. But I think if we go back to the neighbourhood, which we grew up in a neighbourhood, our neighbourhood brought us up, and good, bad and different. You got told off and praised by your neighbours. Wherever you were at lunchtime, you had lunch and you went home when it got dark, and we had a lot of freedom, I know, around that space. However, if we could just celebrate the neighbourhood and the people around us, then we're giving back to just that little bit. Imagine if we all did that. It's bite-sized chunks.
Totally, and everyone matters. And also, it's teaching, say, if you've got young children in your house, it's teaching the younger generation how to care for everyone in our community too, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
You've got a reference of lessons in the artwork, and it's great to, because aging is not for wimps. What does that mean? What does aging is not for wimps? Well, your body wears out. Things sometimes get a little bit harder, don't they?
They don't. Yeah.
And going back to those life lessons, the older generation gets a lot of criticism around destroying the planet. Well, when I grew up, we recycled our milk bottles at the gate, and and it was a bread bag and a paper bag, and we had a vegetable garden. Those life lessons, knitting jerseys, those sort of skills. We were our own home handy people, and we did a lot of really cool stuff that preserved the planet. We had one car in the family if we were lucky. We should celebrate those stories. We'll take on the chin what we didn't do well and learn from it, but celebrate the good things that we did.
Well, it's kind of back to the future in a way, isn't it?
You would take it for granted a little bit. Yeah. So I think, Richard, before we wrap up, there's a couple more things for Richard and Paul. First of all, we've got to make the point that the elderly are not a burden.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the perception, is that the older people are a burden. What do we think when we rock up behind an older person in a supermarket line? What's our first thought should be, wow, they're out doing that, they're independent, they're living well. I think at the moment it might be, I won't go in that queue because it'll be slow. And so we've got to change that whole perception. And so we talk about our generation are a resource, not a burden.
Yes.
That's a key point we want to put across.
100%.
And I think a big thing for us in the campaign is that for people to buy the artwork. If they buy the artwork, there's a lot of enduring messages. I think that's going to add heaps of value to wherever it lands on the wall, wherever it goes. But also it's an investment, it's an investment in people who want to make a difference in our community and across the country and wherever the artwork leads to. And I think that's a big part of what we're doing.
Yeah. And the artwork's available in a few different forms. There's like a decal that you can stick on your wall, a great big one. We've got this size canvas. There's some other sizes as well. It's all on the Age Concern website. You can buy direct. We'll make sure we put some links in there as well. But thank you for your time today, gentlemen. And I think it's just like, I respect the elderly. I just like, if I was behind them in a queue, I'd be like, do they need a hand? Can I help?
Yeah,
100% talk to them, make them feel not invisible, and just love our elderly, because we would we wouldn't be here without them.
Totally.
Yeah.
Love them.
Yeah. Love you.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time on Lemon Drops.